All right, in this one, we're talking about how do you finish what you started and stick with it. Whether it's starting a new workout routine, wherever that is, or maybe it's starting up that new celery juice habit every morning where you're just getting it going. How do you get it and stick with it? Or maybe for you, it's quitting sugar. You wanna do this, you wanna quit sugar or dairy, whatever it is. Maybe that's the thing you're trying to do. Hey, it's Ranesh, and in this one, we're talking about how do you finish what you started and stick with it. Now, I'm in my garage here and I'm holding up a medicine ball because I literally just finished up my workout. And this is such an important topic because people struggle finishing what they started and sticking with it. So I want to give you my 3 takeaways that have really helped me to finish the things that I've started and then stick with it. You know, I gave you some examples. It could be your workout. It could be, drinking that celery juice or something you do in the morning. It could be something as, tough as saying, hey, I'm not going to eat any more dessert or sugar or, quitting dairy. How do you actually finish the thing that you started and make it a part of your life that you're sticking with it? So 3 takeaways on that. The first thing is this, don't start anything good and expect us to do it just once. Anything good is worth doing more than once. So if you're starting something, you're like, oh, this is awesome. I'm gonna quit sugar, or I'm gonna start a new workout routine, or gosh, I'm gonna call a friend once every 2 days, whatever that is. If you're starting something and it's good for you and it's good for your mental health, your wellness, your well-being, everything. So you have to have that belief and that kind of standard for yourself that says, hey, you know what? This is a good thing. So I'm gonna keep doing it because the benefit of this thing is not just gonna happen like overnight. So don't go into things unless you're going in it for the long game. There is no reward, there is no juice in the short game. So you have to have that first perspective, which is, I'm only gonna do this and I'm only going into this because of the long game. I'm not going into this to just dabble with it for a few months or to kind of mess around with it for a few weeks. The long game is where you win. That's number 1. The second thing is this. You're gonna hit a point where you feel like not motivated to work out or demotivated to do and finish off the thing that you were so passionate about starting in the first place. So how do you get around that? Well, what I do is I follow my 2-10-60 rule. It's really simple. For instance, if I don't want to work out in the morning, or if I don't want to do the thing that I promised myself that I would do, I'll commit to 2 minutes. I'll say, okay, fine. I'm going to do this for 2 minutes and 2 minutes alone. That's it. I'm going to start it for 2 minutes. And then during those 2 minutes, at the end of those 2 minutes, I will commit to another 10 minutes. So I started the 2 minutes. I was like, let me get this going for 2 minutes. And then I'm like, you know what? I could do another 10 minutes. Now, during those 10 minutes, I'm building momentum. I'm already doing the thing that I said I would do, whether that's a workout, whether that's a special routine, whether that's going for a walk, whether that's, starting on a new project. During those 10 minutes, I'm like getting back into the zone. And I'm like, you know what? At the end of those 10 minutes, I will decide if I'm gonna finish off the remaining 60 minutes, right? So the 2-10-60 rule. So do the first 2, start it, then decide if I'm gonna do the next, 10 minutes, and then decide if I'm gonna do the remaining 60 minutes. And most of the time, 95 to 99% of the time, you will follow through after you do those 10 minutes to the remaining 60 minutes. 2-10-60 rule. You can do this for anything. You can do it for, a total of 30 minutes, whatever it is. But start with the small fraction of that thing. Then while you're doing it, you got that movement going. While you've built that momentum, then you go and you commit to the next 10. Then you commit to the remaining amount of time you need to finish that project off. That's the key. Number 3, what's the third thing that you gotta get through if you're gonna do this? Third one is you have to navigate and be okay pushing through the boredom. Anything great that you start in your life, you are gonna hit boredom. You're gonna get bored of it. It's gonna feel like mundane. It's gonna feel like, same old, same old. How do you push through the boredom? You may hear somebody's doing some gardening around here, so sorry for the noise if you hear that. How do you push through the boredom? Well, you have to anticipate it first, right? You have to say, hey, you know what? I know I'm going to feel like a lack of motivation, and I know I'm gonna feel bored of this thing that I'm trying to do. Well, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna ask myself how I can bring something new to the same situation. Can you bring in a new thing to the same thing that you're doing? Maybe that's switching it up, listening to a podcast. Maybe that's doing the same exercise in a different way. Maybe that's having the same conversation on a speaker. Maybe that is, meeting up somewhere to decide to do something different. It's something small that you can change, that you can bring to the thing that's becoming stale. Look, things don't become stale. It's usually people that go stale because they decide not to tap into their creativity. You decide not to tap into your ambition, your level of dynamic thought of oh, you know what? Let me do this. Let me do that. Get creative. Look, the whole point in any project is not just to finish up the project, is to grow through the creativity of bringing different parts of you to that project. So if you want to finish what you started, you got to know how to combat boredom. And the way to combat boredom is to dig deep, reach out, and bring something new to the same situation. If you follow these three things, where you don't think of the short game, you're focusing on the long game, hey, you know what? Do I really enjoy doing this? Is this something I can stick with? Anything good is worth doing more than once. And then you go with that. And then you say, hey, if I get demotivated, I'm going to use the 2-10-60 rule to get myself in the game, to get started, and then decide if I want to do more. And once I have that momentum, then I get that meaning, and then I'm rolling into the next chapter of finishing this thing off. And then how do you stick with it? You combat boredom, you keep it novel, you bring your new energies, new perspectives, new ways of doing the same thing, and you keep creating over and over again, because this is the whole process of digging deep, creating something new out of you and bringing it out to the world. If you do those three things, I can tell you, anything that you started that's meaningful in your life, you will finish it. And you'll finish it and you'll keep sticking with it. For me, it was the workout. For me, it was drinking that morning celery juice. And for me, it was quitting sugar and dairy. What is it for you? Let me know in the comments what you're gonna finish that you've already started, and then what you're gonna stick to for the remaining long period of time ahead, okay? So, hope this one helped. As always, have an incredible day and live inspired.